Hi, my name is Antonio Lopes, and today I will be introducing you to various instruments in the percussion family. Probably the first instrument that most fifth graders are introduced to into their first year of band is the snare drum. There's a lot of intricacies to the snare drum, there's a lot of intricacies to every percussion instrument that I'll be demonstrating today. But when it comes to the snare drum, it's all about your grip and your technique in holding the stick. Go through and we'll introduce the concept of the rebound. And ultimately over time, people will progress their multiple balance roll and their double stroke roll. Combine those with single strokes and what's known as rudiments, or commonly found patterns in music. Pretty much a common set of patterns that's universal to every student, and it's important to learn your rudiments so that way you can develop your technique over time. Again, going back to that march style similar to Sousa or Carl King, just as important as the bass drum and the snare drum are the crash cymbals. So when it comes to playing the instrument, there's different ways that you can hold the straps that are on the outside. The most common and safest way that I should have begun with is when you simply insert your hand inside the strap itself and then just wrap around. When you have your grip set and it comes to striking the cymbals together, you don't want to simply go straight into each other, because then what happens? You're just compressing air together. When you're striking the cymbal, you typically want to go away from you. There is also a theatrical element to it. When you strike the cymbal, it's common for them to raise the cymbal up as well, again to further project that sound outward. When we're dampening the sound, all we gotta do is just bring it in. The next category of instruments that I'll be introducing is what's known as accessory percussion. The first being the tambourine. The tambourine is most common in orchestral music, and when it comes to playing the tambourine, we typically want to have our hands in a sort of almost pointed fashion where there's a singular point where our thumb and all of our fingers sort of come together, and then we just simply tap. And then you also can do two different kinds of rolls with the tambourine. The first being by pretty much wildly shaking the wrist in a relatively controlled manner, and we accent the beginning of the roll as well. The second kind of roll is what's known as a thumb or finger roll, quite literally because you execute it with either your thumb or another finger. So we sort of just lightly whip either the tip of our finger or the tip of our thumb, and we find that balancing point of pressure when we scrape our finger across the head. Now with the finger, the next accessory instrument I would like to introduce is the triangle, appropriately named so. The triangle is commonly used to go along with those figures and rhythms typically played by lighter instruments in the ensemble. So playing the triangle, you play it with a triangle beater. There are different kinds of beaters and different sizes. When it comes to striking the triangle, it's a common practice to want to strike the sides. However, it's best to strike the bottom, because the triangle produces a lot of overtones that aren't produced when you strike the sides. So when you're striking the triangle, it's important to strike it down on the bottom. The next group of instruments that I want to introduce you to is the keyboards. Named so because, what are they modeled after? A piano. So keyboard instruments in the percussion family are played with mallets. There's different kinds, but most are made of different types of yarn. Although primarily on the marimba and on the vibraphone, it's common practice to be able to play the instrument with not just 2, but 4 mallets. So when holding, 2 mallets in one hand, I often opt for what's known as Stevens grip. Stevens grip splits the grip of the mallet in between your 2 sets of fingers. Live long and prosper. When we flip it around, we have 1 mallet in that split. We have 1 mallet pretty much right in the center of the hand, just a little offset. So when we bring them together, that's what we look like. This, for example, it's big. This is called the marimba. If we shift over here, we have the xylophone. It's typically a bit higher in pitch as well, And then over here, we have the vibraphone. With the vibraphone, we have a pedal on the bottom to be able to sustain the sound, because the pedal is attached to a bar that runs across with felt on it. That bar with the felt actively pushes against each key on the vibraphone, dampening it. So when we press down that pedal and release it, it's free to ring however it wants, I hope you've enjoyed this introduction to only a fraction of the instruments that are found in the percussion family. The percussion family is quite literally made up of thousands of instruments from all different shapes and sizes and different functions, different purposes. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to most of the commonly found instruments in stuff like school band and the orchestra.